Act as if God is within you, not watching from above, not judging from afar, but residing in the marrow of your bones. That single shift in perception could unlock more potential than a lifetime of effort fueled by doubt. When you see yourself as divine real estate, how you carry yourself changes, how you speak changes, how you think transforms. This is not a metaphor, it is a way of living. The man who walks into a room believing he is accompanied by the essence of God does not mumble, does not shrink, does not falter. He becomes presence itself. Authority flows from him not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. That is the difference between confidence and conviction. Faith isn't just a belief in the unseen, it's an agreement that the unseen operates through you. Every thought you allow, every word you release, every decision you make, if it were made knowing the divine moves with you, what would change? Everything. Stop treating yourself like a beggar asking for favor from some external force. Act as if the infinite lives within your chest. Royalty doesn't request permission to let it, assumes responsibility and moves forward. So must you. Your body is not simply flesh, it is a temple. That phrase is thrown around carelessly, but consider the implications. A temple is sacred. It is built with purpose, maintained with honor, and approached with reverence. If your actions desecrate the temple, how can you expect peace within? You say you want clarity, you want purpose, you want power. But are you living as if you're the host of God? Or are you living as if you're a vagrant of circumstance? One invokes creation, the other reacts to it. You decide. This world will test your claim. It will poke at your certainty, whisper lies into your fear, and attempt to pull you back into the narrative of insignificance. But here's the truth. When you act as if God is within you, you don't need the world's validation. You become validation. You don't follow the crowd you parted. Speak like divinity chose your tongue to carry out its will. Walk like each step is the unfolding of destiny. Think like your mind is a canvas where the universe paints its most daring visions, because it is, but only if you choose to believe it. This isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. Humility doesn't mean playing small, it means recognizing the vastness of what moves through you and serving it fully. A man in alignment with God does not need to scream, his silence shakes walls. You want to rise? Then embody what you already are. Don't wait for the sky to open. Open yourself. The kingdom was never in the clouds. It was coded into your DNA. Unlock it not by effort, but by awareness. So today, try this. Speak only words you'd speak if God were listening from your soul. Make choices as if they echo through eternity. Move through your day like you are the living proof that the divine chose to dwell in man not as an experiment, but as a declaration. The moment you act as if God is within you, you stop seeking miracle sand, start becoming one. You begin to understand that you are not just a witness to life, you are a co-creator. You and the divine are not separate entities in distant realms. You are collaborators. The breath in your lungs is not just air, it is permission, it is opportunity, it is legacy in motion. Every time you hesitate, you betray the divine within. Every time you doubt your value, you silence a voice that was meant to command. Act as if God walks beside you? No. Act as if He walks through you, speaks through you, builds through you. The divine didn't come here to be praised in temples built by hands. It came here to be realized in the architecture of your character, in the depth of your discipline, in the power of your persistence. You want evidence that God is with you? Look in the mirror, but look with reverence. If your life were the gospel, would anyone read it? If your daily acts were scripture, would they save or mislead? You are the sermon, you are the sanctuary, you are the spark. Stop outsourcing your worth to systems that profit from your ignorance of self. This is your wake-up call. Not to become something else, but to return to what you've always been, a vessel, a light, a voice with weight. So raise it. Live today as if the universe depends on your conviction, because in many ways it does. Acting as if God is within you means you stop tolerating anything that insults your soul. You don't argue with mediocrity. You don't entertain distractions. You don't beg for scraps of attention or worth. You are already seated at the table of divine inheritance. Stand accordingly. You'll notice a change in how people respond to you. Not because you've become louder, but because you've become clearer. Your presence speaks before you do. Why? Because you've aligned with the power that crafted stars, that carved mountains, that whispers truth in silence. You are no longer seeking permission to shine. You are the light. You are no longer begging for guidance. You are the vessel through which guidance moves. Each decision, each act of courage, each quiet refusal to betray your values becomes a hymn, a prayer in motion. And though the world may not understand this frequency, it will feel it. Your energy becomes undeniable. You're not selling inspiration, you're breathing it. You're not preaching purpose, you're walking in it. So remember, act as if God is not above, but within. Not distant, but present. Not occasional, but constant. And your life will begin to reflect the brilliance it was always meant to display. There is a sacred fire burning quietly within you, always present, though often buried beneath the noise of modern life. This flame is not metaphorical. It is your awareness, your will, your divine compass. It is the part of you that observes without judgment, decides without fear, and acts with unwavering certainty when called upon. King Solomon did not become wise through luck or inheritance. He became wise by aligning with that inner flame, by training his soul to listen to it louder than the world. In today's chaos, that flame is dulled by distraction. The average person checks their phone over 300 times a day. Attention is scattered like leaves in a storm. But Solomon's attention was a laser piercing through illusion, anchoring him in purpose. To walk in the footsteps of such wisdom, you must rebuild your attention like a craftsman sharpens a blade. You must sit in silence long enough to feel where your power resides. The voice within you does not scream, it whispers. And it only becomes audible when you stop running from yourself. Solomon's strength came from this stillness. Before he judged, before he ruled, before he built anything externally, he conquered the internal. His most valuable throne wasn't gold or stone. It was the seat of self-mastery. Wisdom is not simply knowing more. It is knowing what to ignore. Solomon's greatest power was discernment. He could see beyond appearances. He understood that not all opportunities are blessings and not all resistance is a curse. This clarity is what separates kings from fools. And today, more than ever, you need this clarity. Every ad, every post, every promise of instant gratification is a thief of your throne. Ask yourself, what have I been giving my attention to that deserves none of me? What habits have I allowed to creep in and masquerade as necessity? Solomon did not tolerate chaos in his courtand. You must not tolerate it in your mind. There is a difference between knowing the path and walking it. Many people speak of inner peace. Few embody it. Solomon's wisdom was actionable. He didn't just reflect. He ruled with integrity, made decisions with divine insight, and created structures that stood the test of time. That is the kind of wisdom you must summon now, not a theory, but a force. The modern mind is starved for depth. We skim headlines, rush through conversations, and multitask our way into spiritual emptiness. But Solomon teaches us to slow down, to gaze deeply, to choose carefully, to speak only when words are heavier than silence. Wisdom is not loud, it is deliberate. Your thoughts are not random, they are seeds. Every belief you entertain is carving a future in your subconscious. Solomon planted his inner garden with care. He uprooted weeds quickly. If a thought weakened him, he cast it out. If it strengthened him, he repeated it until it became part of his nature. Today, the careless consumption of ideas is treated as intelligence, but real wisdom demands curation. Not everything deserves access to your inner temple. Ask yourself, what am I allowing into my mind, into my spirit, into my daily rituals? Would Solomon have welcomed this into his presence? Self-respect is built when you hold your thoughts accountable to your highest values. You become royal when you guard your inner kingdom. Solomon never begged for attention. He earned reverence by mastering himself first. That same path lies before you not as a fantasy, but as a discipline. The world will never slow down, but you can. You can become the still center of the storm. You can move with clarity while others chase shadows. Solomon's wisdom is not locked in ancient texts, it's breathing within you, waiting to be remembered. What will you choose to elevate today? What behavior, what principle, what moment of stillness will you claim as sacred? The voice of God within you, the divine essence that guided Solomon, is not bound by time, religion, or tradition. It is the same source that whispers clarity during your greatest doubt and offers strength in your weakest hour. Solomon understood that when you align with this divine force, decisions become effortless, direction becomes clear, and even suffering reveals its lesson. His wisdom wasn't just insight, it was architecture. He built his inner world like a temple with precision, purity, and purpose. Every stone had meaning. Every silence was sacred. And this temple was not shaken by external storms, because its foundations were not of this world. They were rooted in eternal law. If your life feels unstable, it's not because the world is chaotic, it's because your inner foundation has cracks. Solomon teaches us to examine those cracks not with shame, but with reverence. What beliefs am I building my life on? What principles do I call sacred, and do my actions honor them? Too many today are building skyscrapers on sand. They chase recognition before mastering silence. They seek validation before knowing themselves. Solomon's greatness came from reversing this order. He went inward before stepping outward. He heard the voice of God before he spoke to men. And when he did speak, his words carried weight not because of volume, but because of alignment. When your words match your truth, when your actions follow your convictions, you become undeniable. This is not charisma, it is coherence, and coherence is the mark of the wise. Solomon didn't fear opposition, he welcomed it as a mirror. If someone challenged his rule, it revealed where his foundation needed fortifying. He didn't wreak the refined, and that's what you must do now. Look at your life's resistance not as punishment, but as feedback from the divine architect within. Are your rituals aligned with your vision? Are your habits building a throne or a prison? Solomon knew that every repeated act became a brick in his legacy, and so must you. Every moment, you are either crowning yourself with wisdom or chaining yourself to regret. Acting as if God is within you means more than carrying yourself with confidence. It demands a radical shift in your internal identity, a total reorientation of how you perceive your place in the universe. When you believe truly and deeply that the divine resides within, you stop chasing external validation. You begin generating power from an unshakable inner source. This perspective transforms your thoughts, your behaviors, and ultimately, your destiny. Every word you speak becomes sacred. Every decision you make echoes the will of something greater. You no longer move through life passively reacting to circumstances. You become the architect of your experience, using spiritual awareness as your blueprint. People often ask, how do I develop self-worth? The answer lies in the recognition that you already possess something infinite. When you act as if God is within you, you are no longer a vessel of insecurity. You become a channel of strength, clarity, and purpose. This shift is not about arrogance. It's about sacred responsibility. You are not pretending to be more. You are remembering who you've always been. This mindset gives birth to courage. It empowers you to walk into rooms not wondering if you belong, but knowing your presence carries weight. It changes how you speak, your tone, your words, your silence, because you're aware that each expression carries divine weight. Every moment becomes a prayer, every encounter a chance to reflect grace. Even in failure, this identity anchors you. You don't crumble under shame. You rise, knowing the divine does not abandon itself. You interpret struggle not as punishment, but as refinement. The pain becomes proof of purpose, the hardship becomes fuel for growth, and the setbacks, they are sacred detours, designed not to break you, but to shape you into someone worthy of what you've been entrusted with. When you act as if God is within you, you treat your body with reverence. You speak to yourself with compassion. You begin to filter your environment, choosing silence over noise, discipline over indulgence, depth over distraction. You prioritize alignment over approval. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be in truth. This identity changes how you love. You stop clinging to people to fill your voids. You begin loving from wholeness, not lack. Your relationships become reflections of your standards, not your wounds. You magnetize those who respect your energy because you've learned to protect it like holy ground. To act as if God is within you is to walk with quiet certainty. You don't need to scream your worth, your presence speaks it. You don't chase attention, you command it by living in alignment. You trust divine timing because you are no longer waiting, you are preparing, you are no longer hoping, you are embodying. This is not performance, it is possession. When you rise in the morning, speak to yourself as if God listens because God does. When you walk through challenges, walk as if you are guided because you are. When you speak your dreams aloud, do so with the conviction of someone who knows heaven is paying attention. Your belief does not make you delusional, it makes you dangerous to the forces that once kept you small. This is the truth. You do not need to find power. You need only to stop denying the one already burning inside you. When you act as if God is within you, your entire posture toward life shifts. You are no longer a seeker of power, you become a vessel of it. You carry yourself not with arrogance, but with a serene authority, grounded in the knowledge that you are not navigating life alone. There is something divine that breathes with you, speaks through you, and moves ahead of you, clearing paths where once there were walls. This understanding transforms how you approach fear. Fear loses its grip when you know that the divine walks with you. You stop negotiating with your limitations. You stop worshiping your doubt. Instead, you begin to operate from divine confidence and not from ego, but from essence. You face challenges not with panic, but with poise, because deep down, you trust that every storm has already been accounted for by the higher intelligence that resides within you. Acting as if God is within you makes you immune to the need for constant external affirmation. You don't beg for opportunities, you attract them through the energy you carry. You don't chase status, you radiate presence. You don't mimic others to belong, you embody truth so fully that others seek you out for alignment. Your life becomes magnetic not because you're perfect, but because you're authentic. That authenticity is sacred. And as this inner divinity becomes your reference point, your standards evolve. You no longer tolerate environments, conversations, or relationships that drain your light. You guard your peace as a spiritual assignment. You realize that not everyone can come with you, not because they're bad, but because they're not aligned with the frequency of your future. And that's okay. You stop apologizing for outgrowing people, spaces, and versions of yourself that once felt safe, but are now too small for your calling. You begin to speak with intentionality. Your words no longer serve your ego, they serve your mission. You become more discerning with silence, understanding that stillness is not absence, it is alignment. You withdraw from noise, not out of weakness, but out of strength. The God within you doesn't need to prove, only to move. You also begin to notice synchronicities. Doors open where none existed. The right words find you at the right time. Divine appointments appear on ordinary days. You're not lucky, you're aligned. You don't force outcomes, you flow with obedience. You trust the process because you trust the source. And every delay, every detour, every disappointment becomes easier to bear because you know that nothing divine is ever wasted. To act as if God is within you is to live from the inside out. It is to turn down the volume of the world so you can hear the whisper of your own soul. It is to become a student of your intuition, a protector of your peace, and a champion of your divine potential. This life is not about pretending to be something you are not. It is about removing every lie that convinced you you were anything less than divine. True greatness isn't measured in titles or trophies. It reveals itself when no one is watching, when you choose discipline over comfort, truth over approval, and vision over distraction. If God is within you, then your smallest decisions are echoes of something divine. Your patience during stress, your honesty in chaos, your persistence when tired, these are not random. They are sacred choices aligned with a higher frequency. In the silence of your battles, your spirit speaks louder than any voice around you. Every delay in your journey is a test, not a punishment. Most people break down in delays because they see them as detours. But if you believe that the divine resides within, then you understand. Delays are divine timing. They're recalibrations, they're alignments. The weight is working for you, not against you. Stop treating waiting as wasting. In the pause, something sacred is forming, something only silence can shape. The universe is not denying you. It is preparing you for what you asked for on a higher level than you imagined. Do not expect applause for spiritual decisions. The path of inner alignment often looks foolish to those who measure worth in material gains, but the soul is not built for claps, it is built for clarity. And clarity is loud in silence. When you act as if God is within you, you stop performing for the world and start building for eternity. Your consistency in the shadows becomes your anointing in the light. Heaven trains warriors in obscurity before revealing them. Your loyalty to the mission, even when it's invisible, is what activates favor. There will be moments when nothing makes sense. Your efforts go unnoticed, your sacrifices feel wasted, your prayers unanswered. But here's the secret: most overlooked faith is loudest when it's quiet. When everything in you wants to give up and you still choose to show up, that's sacred, that's power, that's divinity in motion. The unseen work shapes the seen world. The root grows before the fruit ever shows. God hides you before He highlights you. Learn to honor the hiding seasons. They are not absence, they are preparation. Every act of discipline is a form of worship, not religious ritual, but spiritual reverence. When you say no to distractions, you're saying yes to your higher self. When you keep promises you made to yourself, you're honoring the divine contract within. You don't need a crowd, a stage, or validation. Your integrity is the altar. What you do in solitude defines the strength of your spirit. Excellence without eyes watching is rare, and that's why it's sacred. It means your devotion is real. Stop waiting for signs in the sky. Look inward. The signal is already within. If you dare to believe you carry a spark of the Creator, then mediocrity becomes betrayal. You were not designed for average. You were forged to reveal what divinity looks like through a human experience. To settle is to sin against your calling. To conform is to bury your light beneath the noise. When you choose convenience over calling, you dim what was meant to blaze. Choose the fire, choose the stretch, choose the path that echoes your purpose. The cost of alignment is isolation. Don't fear it. When your soul starts vibrating at a higher frequency, not everyone will hear the music. Some will leave. Let them. Your job is not to convert others, but to become undeniable. Your light will either draw them closer or expose what they fear to confront. Walk alone if you must, for solitude is often the womb of transformation. Growth requires silence, breakthroughs require stillness. You can't ascend and cling to the familiar at the same time. Live like your life is a sermon. Every gesture, every word, every delay in response, let it echo something higher. If you're chosen, act like it, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Because when you truly believe that God resides within you, every moment becomes an opportunity to express that truth. Your presence should remind others of their own sacredness. Be the mirror that reflects the divine, even when others refuse to see it. Live like your breath carries legacy. You don't need permission to live powerfully. You need conviction. You need to get so familiar with your inner truth that no external noise can override it. You're not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle. You're not chasing divine favor, you carry it. Now walk like it, speak like it, and build like it. Let your life be the evidence of unseen forces at work. Let your habits be louder than your dreams. Let your alignment be louder than your ambition. There is no backup version of you, no second soul waiting to fulfill your role. It's you or no one, and the divine knows this. That's why you've been placed where you are, with the burdens you carry and the fire that won't let you settle. Because someone out there needs what only your obedience can release. Someone's answer is waiting on your courage. Someone's breakthrough is buried in your voice. You are the vessel. Stop doubting the design. Keep your flame alive, even when the winds howl, even when the world mocks, even when your own mind doubts, because the fire inside you is not just yours, it's ancestral. It's generational. It's divine. Don't let it die in distraction. Tend it. Protect it. Fan it until the world cannot ignore the blaze you've become. Your fire is your fingerprint from heaven, unique, undeniable, eternal. And if God is truly within you, then everything you touch can become sacred. Every time you wake up, you are presented with a simple but powerful choice: to act as if you are a product of your past or as if you are a vessel of divine purpose. That choice shapes everything. The thoughts you allow, the words you speak, the risks you take, the standards you uphold. And for those who choose to act as if the divine breathes through them, life opens up in extraordinary ways. To act from divine identity means you're done waiting for circumstances to grant you permission. You stop treating your potential like a theory. You treat it like a fact. There is no more apologizing for your intensity, no more negotiating with mediocrity. You've seen too much. You've felt the pull of a greater calling. And now pretending to be small is no longer an option. People around you may not understand. They may think you're arrogant or obsessed. Let them. They are still living in the illusion that greatness requires consensus. But you are living in the truth that greatness only requires alignment, not with trends, not with culture, but with your inner knowing. The voice that says, "This is who I was born to be." Let this be the day you drop the mask of hesitation. Speak with full conviction. Move with deliberate fire. Design your environment like a temple, filled only with the things, people, and rituals that pull the best out of you. When you act as if God is within you, you don't just aim to improve, you aim to transform. You don't just change habits, you change your very nature. Every step becomes sacred, every word becomes law. You are no longer casual with time, because time is now sacred currency. You no longer tolerate shallow connections, because your spirit is too deep to entertain what does not feed your purpose. You no longer chase outcomes. You draw them in through who you are being. Watch what happens when you walk like you are already chosen. The world begins to echo that certainty back to you. Rooms feel different when you enter. Conversations shift. People listen with more focus. Not because you're trying to impress, but because your presence speaks before you open your mouth. The old you hesitated. The old you needed reassurance. The old you played small to make others feel safe. That version has served its time. Now, it's time to be who you truly are, without filter, without apology, without delay. When the divine is within you, you are not in competition, you are in contribution. You're not here to prove. You're here to illuminate. Act as if your steps are being watched by destiny itself. Carry yourself as if future generations will model their lives after the choices you make today. Speak as if your words are laying bricks on the road others will walk. Decide with the weight of legacy on your shoulders, because when you live from that place, your life takes on a different voltage. You start leading without a title. You start influencing without trying. You attract excellence. You repel confusion. And what once felt difficult, discipline, consistency, vision now becomes the natural rhythm of your life. Not because it got easier, but because you elevated. You're no longer reacting to circumstances, you're architecting reality. You're no longer praying for breakthroughs, you are becoming the breakthrough. This is the power of divine embodiment. It turns ordinary moments into portals of transformation. It turns average days into altars of impact. So, when fear arises, you don't crumble. You remember who you are. When doubt visits, you don't slow down. You accelerate. You don't wait for a sign, you become the sign. You don't ask for miracles, you make decisions that demand them. The world doesn't change because of noise. It changes because of presence. And your presence, when aligned, becomes undeniable. Walk with reverence. Build with fire. Lead with grace. Speak with thunder. Act as if the divine has already spoken your name into history, because in truth it has. Your job is not to wonder how. Your job is to live like it's already done. The how will appear to those who have the courage to carry themselves as if they are already the answer. You are that answer. Now act like it. To live as if the divine spark resides within you is to walk with unwavering courage in a world gripped by doubt. It means no longer outsourcing your power to others, but reclaiming your authority in every choice, every breath. When you realize that the same intelligence that orchestrates the stars also courses through your veins, you awaken to a responsibility greater than fear of creation, impact, and legacy. You no longer ask permission to be great. You command it from within. This way of living demands discipline, clarity, and a fierce allegiance to your highest truth, even when silence surrounds you. Those who dare to act as if God is within them become unstoppable forces, not by domination but by presence, not through noise but through essence. Step into that identity and the world bends to reflect the magnitude of who you've become. Act as if God is within you. Not in a distant heaven, not in abstract scriptures, but here right now, animating your every decision, fueling your resolve, anchoring your dignity. What would you do if you genuinely believed that the force that carved oceans and scattered stars lived behind your ribs? You wouldn't hesitate. You wouldn't ask for permission. You wouldn't shrink before critics, nor defer your calling to the comfort of another day. You would rise unshakable. You would act with honor because your steps would feel watched by eternity itself. You would demand more of your time, your mind, your words, because you'd realize they're not just yours, they are extensions of the divine. Living as if God is within you transforms the mundane into sacred ritual. The way you speak to strangers, the effort you give in silence, the compassion you offer when no one is watching, all becomes a reflection of what you worship. You cease to move from insecurity. You operate from essence. You are no longer a seeker. You are a revealer. Most people live like empty vessels, searching for meaning outside themselves. But the moment you flip the switch and begin to treat your inner world as holy ground, everything shifts. Challenges become tests, not punishments. Failure becomes refinement, not condemnation. Delay becomes preparation, not rejection. And every breath you take is evidence that something greater still wants to speak through you. This mindset is not religious, it is revolutionary. It dissolves victimhood. It crushes apathy. Because once you assume the divine dwells in you, excuses become blasphemies. You can't disrespect yourself and still claim to be in communion with the eternal. You must upgrade how you move, how you think, how you serve. Every choice becomes a prayer. Every action, a declaration. Walk like you are the answer to someone's silent prayer. Speak as if your words have the weight to tilt destinies. Work like the fate of generations hangs on the integrity of your discipline. This is what it means to act as if God is within you, not to inflate your ego, but to awaken your responsibility. Because if you don't believe there's power inside you, you'll keep searching for saviors, gurus, and shortcuts. You'll remain spiritually homeless, building temples out of trends and abandoning them when storms come. But if you anchor yourself in the belief that greatness was planted in your soul before you were born, then you don't need external permission to start. You just need alignment. This belief demands more of you, not less. It won't allow you to lie to yourself. It will wake you up at night, reminding you of the vows you made to your potential. It will pull you into moments of silence where your comfort dies and your calling is resurrected. You will cry, burn, break, but you will rise different, sharper, quieter, unstoppable. To act as if God is within you is to take radical ownership of your existence, to refuse to play small, to turn your inner world into a sanctuary. It is to carry fire in your chest and speak with thunder in your throat. It is to be fully alive without apology. So when you doubt yours, remember, doubt is loud, but divinity is quiet. Go inward, listen, then rise. Not because you're fearless, but because you're inhabited. Move like it. Lead like it. Live like it. This is how you shift a generation, not with borrowed beliefs, but with embodied conviction. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs people who walk like altars. People who've made peace with the war inside and now move as if heaven itself has trusted them with a task. You are not here to survive, you are here to remember. To remember that the same breath that moved over the waters moves through your lungs. That your life is not random, it is orchestrated, sacred, needed. So act accordingly. You were not made to tiptoe through life hoping not to offend. You were made to step forward with clarity, embodying a purpose so luminous it dissolves distractions. You carry within you a fragment of something eternal, and the moment you honor that not as metaphor but mandate your very presence begins to change rooms, not because you shout, but because you resonate. It is a sacred rebellion to live like this, to believe that your body is a temple, your mind is an altar, and your choices are offerings. You stop outsourcing your worth. You stop playing dress-up in borrowed convictions. You craft a life so rooted in truth that even silence becomes a sermon. Let others chase trends and titles. You chase alignment, you chase impact, you chase becoming the kind of person your future self would thank. And every day, you close the gap between who you were and who you are meant to be, not through magic, but through mastery. So write, build, heal, teach, lead, love, as if the infinite has commissioned you personally. Because it has. It always has. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are not preparing for the moment. You are the moment. Act accordingly. True transformation doesn't arrive as a whisper it storms into your life, demanding your attention. By this point in the journey, you're no longer simply listening. You're becoming. You've been pushed, provoked, torn open by wisdom that dared you to confront the falsehoods you've quietly carried. Now the moment demands a deeper vow of commitment, not to knowledge, but to embodiment. Acting as if God is within you is no longer a theory or an experiment. It is a practice forged in silence, a discipline sharpened through struggle, and a presence you now wear like invisible armor. You walk differently. You think with a reverence that colors your choices. You speak with fire, not for ego, but because the divine requires no permission to express itself through you. This is not about arrogance. It's about stewardship. You've been entrusted with divine breath, with a mind capable of vision, and a heart wired for alignment. Do not squander it trying to appear humble when your existence demands impact. The false modesty that keeps you small is not virtue, it's a form of betrayal. Live as if your actions echo in eternity. Move through the world as if your thoughts sculpt reality, because they do. When you see injustice, don't just notice it, speak to it. When you feel fear, don't just survive, pierce through it. You are not here to blend in. You are here to disrupt with purpose. Let your rituals become reminders. The way you rise in the morning, the posture you hold, the gratitude you express, the decisions you make each is a testament to who you believe yourself to be. Let them declare your divinity in silence, so loud that the universe reconfigures around your energy. There will be resistance. The world will test your resolve. You will be tempted to regress into passivity, into self-doubt, into the comfort of old stories. But hear this clearly. Those were versions of you that served survival. You are no longer surviving, you are creating. You are building temples in thought, cathedrals in conversation, sanctuaries in your presence. And when you fall short, and you will remember that even divinity expands through imperfection. Redemption is not a reset, it's an integration. Learn, adjust, refocus, rise again, always rise again. You are not walking this path alone. Every decision, every disciplined act, every brave step becomes a signal to the divine within others. You awaken the sleeping giants by refusing to shrink. That is your power. That is your offering. So go, not with hesitation, but with conviction, not with borrowed wisdom, but with the embodied force of what you now know to be true. God is within you, and through you, the world remembers. To live as if God is within you is to realize that mediocrity is no longer an option. Every time you hesitate out of fear, every time you settle for less than your soul's fire, you are denying the divine impulse within. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about shedding the illusions that made you forget who you already are. People around you may not understand. They might say you've changed. And they'd be right. You've outgrown the shell they were comfortable with. You've abandoned the language of limitation, the rituals of stagnation. They'll feel threatened, not by what you say, but by what your presence now challenges in them. Stand anyway. Speak the truth, even if your voice trembles. Take the step, even if your legs shake. The universe doesn't wait for your perfection, it responds to your courage. When you act in alignment, doors open. Not because they were locked, but because you were never supposed to see them until you remembered who you are. Let your boundaries be declarations of worthiness. Let your time reflect your priorities. Let your relationships echo your expansion. You no longer beg for acceptance, you emanate presence. And in doing so, you grant others the permission to rise with you or fall away. This is sacred work, the kind that rewires generations, the kind that alters trajectories, and it begins not with a miracle outside of you, but with a moment of decision within you to stop pretending and to finally become. There is no turning back. You are the proof that becoming is possible. Your life becomes the scripture others read, not through doctrine but through demonstration. Each act of integrity, each moment of stillness in chaos, each time you choose love over fear, it becomes part of the collective awakening. You are not just embodying wisdom, you are transmitting it. When your posture is rooted in truth, you don't have to convince anyone. The air around you shifts. People feel something when you enter a room. They may not name it, but they recognize it. Because deep down, everyone is searching for a reminder that something sacred still lives among us. You are that reminder. Let your words carry the weight of stillness. Let your actions mirror the intelligence of nature, calm, exact, powerful. When you move, move with intention. When you speak, speak with reverence. When you listen, listen with the awareness that the divine might be whispering through a voice you'd otherwise ignore. This isn't the end of the path, it's the ignition. Everything that came before prepared you for this chapter. Now you write the story not with ink but with energy, not with theory, but with transformation. And the more you live from that space, the more life will rearrange itself to support your becoming. This is the cost of awakening. You lose the comfort of ignorance, but gain the privilege of purpose. And now, as we reach the culmination of this journey, the final ascent demands more than just contemplation. It demands transformation. Everything you've uncovered, everything that resonated in your mind and soul must now be lived. This is not a story to remember. It is a summons to embody the divine potential that has always been within you. Act as if God is within you, not in theory, not in words, but in action, decision, and presence. When you speak, let it be with the precision of truth. When you move, let it be with the certainty of purpose. When you choose, let it be with the authority of one who channels something eternal. You are no longer a seeker, you are a vessel. And vessels don't question their contents. They pour, they serve, they overflow. The wisdom you carry is not meant to be admired, it's meant to be weaponized against chaos, against stagnation, against everything in this world that conspires to make you forget who you are. Your daily rituals must now become sacred, your doubt stools for refinement, your pain signals of growth, your relationships reflections of the inner temple you've built. Don't just act as if God is within you in solitude. Bring it into the marketplace, the family table, the conflicts and compromises of the human experience. That is where the sacred meets the real. That is where divine power becomes visible because it reshapes the ordinary. And when resistance shows up, and it will, it's not a sign to retreat, but proof that you're on holy ground. Every obstacle is a test of embodiment. Every delay is a whisper asking, are you truly living it or just rehearsing it? Let your life be the answer. You are not alone. You are never alone. The spark within you is a signal, a beacon, calling forth the divine in others. Your courage awakens courage. Your discipline inspires order. Your integrity builds a path where others can walk barefoot and unafraid. So what now? Now, you return to your life not as a follower, but as a manifestation. You don't beg for guidance, you deliver it. You don't chase clarity, you radiate it. You don't wait for miracles, you cause them. And in every act you affirm, I am the vessel, I am the voice, I am the will of something greater moving through time. The world won't always recognize it, that doesn't matter. Kings are not validated by applause, they are confirmed by alignment, by the weight of presence, by the quiet conviction that says, I don't need you to see it, I was born to be it. This is where the illusion ends and the real work begins. Not louder, but deeper. Not wider, but sharper. Not someday now. Rise. You are not becoming, you already are. The God within is not waiting. He has already arrived. Let every moment be a mirror of divinity expressed. From the way you rise in the morning to the way you listen in silence, every act, every breath must echo the truth you now carry. The truth that you are not here to survive, but to sanctify the spaces you touch. The truth that your presence should reorder chaos into clarity. Begin to hold your time as sacred. Begin to speak with weight, not volume. Begin to say no, not to escape, but to protect the fire burning inside you. That fire is not ego, it's divine assignment. And every compromise you make to please the world around you is a theft from the kingdom you were born to build within. If there's hesitation, face it. If there's fear, study it. You are not here to be perfect, you are here to be precise. The path of living as if God is within you isn't about grandeur, it's about groundedness. It's not about declaring your greatness, it's about honoring the source of it with humility and action. No more waiting. No more asking for permission. You do not need consensus to obey a divine call. You do not need applause to confirm your direction. You do not need safety to step into purpose. Because the very force that created galaxies now whispers through your intuition, nudges through your conscience, and speaks through your will. And what will you do with it? Build. Build with your words, build with your habits, build with your patience and persistence. Build even when it's dark, especially when it's dark, because that's when light has the most meaning. When others see chaos, you see construction. When they panic, you plan. When they shrink, you stand tall, not out of arrogance, but out of deep alignment with a truth that does not shake. Understand this: true wisdom isn't loud. It doesn't advertise, it doesn't demand. It simply exists, silent, sure, and immovable. And when you act from that place, the world must adjust. Not because you shouted louder, but because your actions were undeniable. So, take this final breath of the journey, not as a conclusion, but as ignition. Let it be the breath before the leap. Let it be the breath that reminds you were never just a man or woman trying to find your place. You were the place. You are the axis. You are the channel through which greatness enters the world. And from this point forward, you don't look back. You don't question the fire anymore. You live it. Relentlessly, reverently, radically.